up, everyone? Rashad Buie. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Ballin' with Buie, where I cover the hottest topics in sports, especially if it is OU related. Today, I want to talk about the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday. I'm going to break down the Chiefs offense versus Buccaneers defense. So let's dive in. Chiefs open up, as of right now, 3-point favorite. It could change by Sunday. Over-under is 56. Chiefs and Buccaneers met in Week 12, where the Chiefs picked up the 27-24 victory. Go into a little bit more detail about that game. I'm sure most of you watched it or have heard about it by now. But let's break down the Chiefs' offense to start. Patrick Mahomes, 4,740 yards on the year, second best in the league, only behind Deshaun Watson. 38 touchdowns, 6 picks, and an 82.9 QBR, which is also second best in the league, only behind Aaron Rodgers. And we talk about just in the postseason, his numbers. He has 580 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, and 90.1 QBR. Now, his numbers are a little bit lower than you would like to see or expect to see, but they only played 2 games, and he's only played about 1.5 because he got knocked out in the second half of the Browns game, which was their first game in the postseason. So he's really played about 4.5 quarters. So his numbers are a little bit lower, but he still played lights out when he's played. Now, we talk about the first meeting between the Chiefs and the Bucs in Week 12 earlier in the year. He went 37-49, 462 yards, 3 touchdowns, and once again, no picks. Now, let's look at the running backs for the Chiefs. Their starter, which has missed a couple games, but he's going to be playing this Sunday, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 803 yards on the year, 4 touchdowns. I mean, the Chiefs aren't a running team. Chiefs offense runs through Patrick Mahomes, so those numbers, I mean, kind of are irrelevant. He's productive when they need him, so that's all that really matters. And they also have Le'Veon Bell to help with the workload. It's just a small workload, light workload, but they split every once in a while. I mean, Le'Veon obviously was the main guy when Clyde was out, but his numbers or his carries will probably drop a little bit now that Clyde is back. Now we look at the explosive receivers that they have. Travis Kelce, tight end receiver. I mean, his numbers are high enough, you might as well call him a receiver. On the year, he had 1,416 yards, which was second best in the NFL, only behind Stephon Diggs. That's why you might as well just call him a receiver. 11 touchdowns also. In their first meeting, he had 8 catches, 82 yards. When you look at the defensive coordinator for the Buccaneers, Todd Bowles, Travis Kelce has exposed him throughout his career. He has 4 career games against him. He averages 93 yards a game. I expect to see the same. I expect him to get 100 yards in the Super Bowl. Let's look at Tyreek Hill. He has 1,276 yards on the year, 15 TDs, second best in the league, behind Devontae Adams. And I'm sure you've all heard by now. If you haven't, I don't know how. First meeting between the Chiefs and Buccaneers early in the year, Tyreek Hill had 13 receptions, 269 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And 203 of those yards came in the very first quarter. 75 of them came off of a one-play drive, deep shot to him. I expect to see good numbers from Tyreek. Obviously, he's not going to put those numbers up again. That's kind of a once-in-a-career type thing. That doesn't happen. But I expect him to get 100 yards, easy. I expect him to be the leading receiver in the game. Don't know if he will be, but I don't know how you go from allowing a guy to get 269 yards to just completely shutting him down, especially his nickname is Cheetah. You're not going to slow down a guy whose nickname is Cheetah. That's not possible. One comment that Tyreek Hill had about his performance in the first meeting, he said, quote unquote, talking about the Buccaneers defense, they fly around the field. They are great. I feel like I just got lucky and was able to get open. He's being very humble in that statement. He did not get lucky. You're arguably one of the best receivers in the league. You're the fastest receiver in the league. Opposed to what Scotty Miller on the Buccaneers thinks, Tyreek Hill is clearly the fastest receiver in the league. So I think he was not trying to embarrass the Buccaneers defense even more than he already had in that statement. Chiefs offense, I also have Sammy Watkins. He's been out since week 16 with a calf injury. He is expected to play. He's still listed as questionable, but I haven't seen anything major about him being out. And then, obviously, Mecole Hardman. Chiefs are averaging 26 yards on kickoff returns due to him, which is 5th best in the regular season. In their kicking game, 29-32, pretty solid. 4 for 4 from 50+, if you see a kick from 50+ in the Super Bowl. Big loss for the Chiefs, which they've been without a couple games now. They're starting left tackle, Eric Fisher, out for the year with an Achilles injury. There's one game left, but he will not be playing, obviously. Now, in turn, let's look at the Buccaneers defense. I feel like leader of their defense, heart and soul of it, Devin White, linebacker position, 140 tackles on the year, 5th best in the league, 97 solo, 3rd best in the league, go along with 9 sacks. He, I think, is forgotten about player. Even though his numbers are very high, he didn't make it into the Pro Bowl. I don't know how you have numbers like that and you don't get into the Pro Bowl, but whatever. Todd Bowles, defensive coordinator for the Buccaneers. I expect to make major adjustments, just as he did in that Week 12 game, because the Chiefs came out hot, as they usually do in most games, and then he slowed them down a bit. I expect him to have those same adjustments in this game. But we'll see what he does. I'm sure Andy Reid's going to come with a completely new game plan. He's a very good head coach. So we will see. Since about the middle of the year, the regular season, the Buccaneers went from single high safety to 2 high, which has helped their numbers drastically. They've led the NFL in takeaways. Carlton Davis, defensive back, 4 interceptions on the year. But he did give up 211 yards in that Week 12 meeting when he was the nearest defender to Tyreek. Don't really know what they're going to do about that. If you put a 2 high safety, then Travis Kelce is just going to expose you. So we'll see. Look at the rest of the players they got: Jason Pierre-Paul and Ndamukong Suh, Shaquille Barrett, Jordan Whitehead, etc., etc. They have tons of athletes on the defensive side of the ball. They only allow 327 yards per game, which is 6th best in the league. 246 passing yards a game, 21st in the league. Patrick Mahomes, I expect him to get well over 246. I expect him to get at least 300 for sure. But they are number 1 in the league on rushing defense, only 80 yards per game, which Chiefs running backs aren't very explosive. They're not going to light you up, so I expect them to be held under 100 yards. I can't imagine a running back getting 100 yards themselves, and I can't even really imagine a running back, their 2 running backs combining for over 100 yards, just because that's not them, and the Buccaneers are too good. They're not going to allow it. The biggest thing for the Buccaneers is they have 1,015 penalty yards on the year. That is 2nd worst in the NFL, only behind the Philadelphia Eagles. And I don't expect that to change. I expect them to draw several penalties, especially when you have Tyreek Hill flying past you. All you can do is just grab him, where you got Travis Kelce sitting down in front of you, and all you can do is just hold him to keep him from getting the ball. So I expect to see several penalties on the defensive side of the ball. But yeah, a couple different stats here. The Buccaneers blitz on 38% of snaps, which is 5th highest in the NFL. And it just so happens Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league when he is blitzed against. He has 13 touchdowns and a passer rating of 134. So I don't know what they're going to do. Even if you do somehow manage to shrink the pocket on him, he's mobile. He can get out of the pocket. He can throw on the run. That's probably why he's the best quarterback in the league when he's blitzed. So we'll see how much they blitz. I definitely would pick and choose if I'm Todd Bowles. I don't just send often, just all the time, because Patrick Mahomes will make you pay. Buccaneers have 41 points off seven takeaways this year, which is not just in the postseason. That is 3rd highest since 1993. I expect them to get a turnover, but I don't expect it to come from Patrick Mahomes. I see a fumble and them recovering it, but I'm expecting Patrick Mahomes to have a big game. He didn't perform very well in the Super Bowl last year, so I am expecting him to have a much better game. I'm expecting him to play pretty much perfect, but we will see. Chiefs have a plus 24 first quarter differential, which is huge. That's why they usually jump out the big leads. They were down 9-0 last game in the AFC Championship against the Bills, but usually they jump out the leads. They don't get behind early, often. And Pro Football Focus, better known as PFF, came out with their top 30 players playing in the Super Bowl. Now, they had Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady 1-2, but let's just look at the offensive side for the Chiefs. You got Patrick Mahomes 1, Travis Kelce 3, and then Tyreek Hill 4. So it's top 5. You got 3. Well, they had 4 players in the top 5, the defensive tackle, but you have 3 offensive players in the top 5. So you arguably have the 3 best offensive players in the entire game playing on one team. But after that, I mean, it kind of falls off. You got Clyde Edwards-Helaire all the way down at 26, and then you got the center at 27. Now, the flip side of it, the Buccaneers, they are loaded on defense, and I don't think people realize it. They have a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball. So we start at 6, Levante David, and then you have Vita Vea at 7, go down to 14, Shaquille Barrett, 15, Carlton Davis, 16, Jamal Dean, 17, Derek Nottie, 18, Winfield, 22, Whitehead, 29, J.T. Pierre-Paul, and then somehow all the way at 30, Devin White. Now, the Chiefs, like I said, they had 4 of the top 5, but they only had 11 total players in the top 30. And the Bucs only had 1 player in the top 5, but they amounted to have 19 of the top 30. Chiefs had 5 offensive players, only 1 lineman. Bucs had 10 defensive players. Now, if that doesn't tell you that the Bucs are the better team, then I don't know what to tell you, because the Bucs have a better complete roster than the Chiefs do. I mean, I think that's pretty clear. The only thing is the Chiefs have the best stars on their team. You got Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, the best players in the league in their respective positions, in my opinion. Maybe not Tyreek Hill, but he's up there. So yeah, that about does it for this podcast. Thanks for joining. Consider subscribing, sharing. Catch me tomorrow. I'll break down the Buccaneers offense versus Chiefs defense and give you my Super Bowl prediction. Deuces.